Thank you very much. Great delight to be invited to come and talk to you. I was on the parish council, as Sue mentioned, when our application for oil and gas development at Vauxhall Bridge, an exploration exploratory well, came in, and I offered to find out about it. I knew nothing, absolutely zero, but because I had a background in environmental science, I set out to make sure whatever we said was accurate and grounded in scientific studies. So when it came to it, we submitted a 95-page objection to the application, which West Sussex, not only our application, there were 2,376 objections, but it was contributed to West Sussex turning down the application. Then the company, Healthy Energy, objected, and we went to appeal. They threw in the towel last March, a year ago. It isn't an onshore well in the same way that other wells are.
Semantics.
Okay. It's semantics, it's not semantics. It is actually getting oil from a pool out under the seabed.
You said they failed after 30 years, and that one hasn't.
Sorry?
You said they will fail after 30 years.
They do?
But that one hasn't.
Okay.
Sorry, you're
Excuse
back
me,
along.
we're going to take questions at the end of each speaker's
Well,
session.
actually,
Thank you.
Richard-
No, that's fine. That's fine. I will get the right reference for you.
The issue on climate change is not that clear cut. In the United States, the increased use of unconventional gas has displaced coal, which is a much worse pollutant. As Dr. Stern points out, though, in his latest book, as you point out, there are risks of leakage of gas, but the climate change argument in respect of unconventional gas is not that clear.
Can I point you to Robert Howard's two articles, which is that methane is far more dangerous, and the leaks from methane and firing the gas off are contributing.
If that's allowed to occur.
If that's allowed to occur.
Which it shouldn't. I mean, Stern makes that point.
Yes, Lord Stern certainly does make that point, and the government report said we should be doing green solutions, not firing the gas, but that hasn't been formally agreed. And sorry, I shouldn't have done it.
Because we haven't yet got the green technology that works well enough.
Yes, that's true enough. Therefore, should be good.
You also should be aware, I'm sure you are, that there's been no global rise in average temperatures for about 15 years. And that's also, you should be aware that in the 17th century, the monks above Dorking used to produce wine, and then the earth got colder, not because of anything that man did. And now they're producing wine again. So all those years ago, the 17th century, was that man making the planet warmer so that we could have wine in Dorking? That's it.
Our vast reserve under the Downs, the South Downs, probably about 60 to 70% of the fresh water which is in the vast calcium caverns. If in fact we start to pollute, like I have seen one or two films from America, which quite honestly is absolutely frightening, but as people said to me, oh well, it's a much bigger country, they can move on and pollute Utah and pollute somewhere and move on. We can't move on in this country. We've got to protect the water supplies from any of these people who in fact are potentially going to ruin that. Without water, as we know, there's no life for the plants. So we should be protecting the next generation, long after I've gone, I'm thinking about sons and grandchildren and so on, and society as a whole. We don't want any government, regardless of whoever they are, to be able to have an open court or have wonderful solicitors and weird and wonderful lawyers who can actually, if you like, manipulate to come up with any way at all that they can produce gas cleanly. They may do. But what's going to happen to all the polluted stuff that comes back out of the ground? Where is that sludge and filth going to be stored? What caverns are they going to use for that? And sooner or later, the actual fissures that are in the ground, and I'm not a geologist, but I am as I know an ecologist very well, there are fissures throughout the south, all over the place.
Absolutely.
And you only need
Yes.
to have a few of those fissures, in fact, that feed in. And the next thing you know, we're pumping out, turning on the taps, and in fact we're polluting and killing people with all sorts of things. And I think really, the government really, and I'm really astounded when I got from the Friends of the Earth a full list of the MPs who voted to allow this to go. And in fact, the way that they did that was quite clear. A lot of Labour MPs, in fact, were still out having a drink or a cup of coffee or something or other. In fact, they got enough votes to get that through. And I, in fact, I smell a rat for the whole system. And I've listened to my MP, and I really am very upset about it.
Had your hand up for ages.
What came to me sort of undermined is I've become more pro-fracking this time because of the way things have happened. But one point I'd like to bring up is this flowback water. The obvious solution, I don't know why no one's mentioned it, you need a lot of water in the fracking thing. Why don't they, instead of carving off in the knowledge it has got a risk to it, to a sewage station, insist that for every fracking site they recycle it on site and the water we reuse for the second time again. They're using less water. You can have all these cut stuff on the countryside. It's just common sense.
Yeah, but it doesn't work like that. I think
But it should work.
Yeah, but the one thing, the maybe chemical reason why the water is not ideal in that it may affect. The point of the additives to the water, the pure water when you first use it, is to have certain properties underground. It may be if you're dealing with flowback, there may be different chemical properties because it's now very salty and whatever. I think the point in the US is that whilst they do re-injection, most of the re-injection I understand is not reused in the water for fracking. And even if there is some of that, you will still end up with stuff to be disposed of.
Oh yeah, I understand. But if it goes to a sewage treatment plant anyway, then they're already taking the chemicals out and the rest of it is being put out into the water course and dumped in the sea or whatever. So it's already becoming that bad.
In theory you could build a big industrial purification plant, but again, it depends how much money, how much land you're prepared to do, and you probably find it's cheaper. As in many areas, it's cheaper to get the virgin material into
the sewage treatment plant anyway. So why not just get rid of one risk of transporting the chemicals across the roads? You then bypass that one whole risk, one whole thing.
Yeah, it doesn't work.